Hello and welcome to your tutorial on opt-ins. Do they really matter? Today we're talking all about those incentives people give you to provide you with their email address. And in order to understand that, you need to take a step back and understand what's considered to be the great importance of obtaining someone's email address. And it's very simple, really. It gives you control over the communication that you have with somebody else. Control from your side, at least. Obviously, they can delete your emails, they can choose to read them, they can choose to do a myriad number of things with them. However, what it does do is it gets you into their inbox in a way that, say, if you're just relying on social media and the whims of Facebook, which we all know to be, incredibly kind of convoluted in the way that it decides how it's going to filter things into your news feed, or Twitter, where maybe you'll be able to, come in and join a discussion, but it's a bit sporadic, and it's useful to be a part of those discussions, but you don't have that same level of control that you do when you are sending out emails to people. And so it is a form of marketing that people have preferred for a long time in the online world. I think there's a couple of things that are really important to understand about why opt-ins exist. And it goes back to when people were first building online businesses. They wanted this kind of opportunity for direct email marketing, and so they'd put a form that would simply say, let's say like the one that's on Marie Forleo's site, would simply say, get some free tips, and then you just pop in your name and your email, and you would start to get her weekly emails. Over time, people came to the conclusion that that wasn't going to be enough for many people to really build their list. And the reason that they thought that was that the internet world started to get very full. And so you may even remember yourself when you first started signing up for people's lists, it was exciting. You weren't used to getting all of this interesting information coming to you on a weekly basis or a daily basis or whatever it might be. And so people, really got excited and just signed up for a lot of different things. And then all of a sudden people hit overwhelm, and they started saying, oh, I can't keep up with all this reading, and there's just too many. And marketers then said, the kind of the time of just being able to say, join my list, has passed for the majority of us. And in order for you to build your list, you're now more likely to need to provide people with a compelling reason. What we're mainly looking at today is both how you might frame the invitation and what might you be actually offering people. Again, that's always going to come back to who's your audience? What do they care about? Why have they come to find you? What is it that they most need? And what would they be delighted to find you offering them for free when they arrive at your website? So as long as you keep all of that clear, and then you make your opt-in easy to find. So most people talk about creating the opt-in above the fold. You'll see here with Marie's site, there's a picture, there's her name, so you know which site you're at, and then there's a kind of enticing piece of text here which says, get anything you want. It doesn't just take talent or luck to succeed. I'll show you how. And then the very simple opt-in there. But it's all first thing you see above the fold, and you don't have to go looking for where to opt in on Marie's site. She also has one at the bottom of her site down here where she says create a life you love, get inspired and take action weekly with Marie. And then she gives a bit of social proof with join 250,000 other people upping their business game every week. So who are you serving? What would they be delighted to find? How does it answer a problem of theirs? And can they easily find you and find a way to opt in? Other thing to think about is what I'm offering going to be consistent with what they're going to find further down the track? So if you're providing an ebook, for example, you want it to look like, you want it to feel like, you want it to be themed like, what readers will expect when they start getting your blog posts or your newsletter or whatever it is you might be sending or sending to them on a regular basis, so that they've got this kind of consistent brand experience. A couple of other things to think about before I move into some examples. Obviously, the opt-in is going to be part of your larger communication strategy. So it's a part of, you're going to be looking at it in the context of your brand and what your brand should look and feel like. You're going to be looking at it in the context of how often you might be sending out blogs or videos or running webinars or whatever it is that you're choosing to do to keep in regular engagement with people. You also want to make every piece of communication valuable. And what do I mean by that? I mean, there's a huge amount of noise on the internet. And so people, they're told that they need to do an opt-in, so they just throw anything together. They don't really think about who it's for or what it's for. They just put something on their site and then they blog each week because they're told that they should blog each week, and they're not really, again, they might not even have things to say. In fact, there's, a whole lot of blog posts out there about what to blog about when you've got nothing to say. Well, my suggestion is very simple on that. Say nothing. Just say nothing until you have something to say and then speak. So please remember to be strategic about the way that you do this. Think about your customers. How often would they want to hear from you? Are they the kind of customers that might want one really detailed piece of content every fortnight or every month, as opposed to short, snappy pieces of content every week? And then reverse engineering from there. Well, what does an opt-in look like that kind of gives them a feel for that? It gives them a feel for my work, builds rapport with me, gives them a sense of what's coming. So we started by asking the very simple question, do they really matter? So let's start with the king of list building, Leo Babauta. Leo Babauta writes at a site called Zen Habits. Now, the first thing you will notice about Zen Habits is the look of his site is entirely consistent with his message. He's about simplifying. He's about productivity. He's about minimizing and minimalism. So his site reflects that. It's, the brand's perfectly consistent in a lot of ways. He doesn't have, you'll notice, any sort of above the fold opportunity to opt in. His is all the way down here, and you click on it and it's not that nice. It's just back to, that isn't even in his website anymore. That's just a link to FeedBurner. So you might think, oh, Leo might not have a lot of people on his email list. He has over 1 million subscribers, over 1 million. He is the king of list building. And the reason he has over 1 million subscribers is that when people were first really learning about all the people that are kind of the big names now, including Marie Forleo and others, that some of whom I'll mention today, when they were really just starting to really understand how to build communities. And a guy named Seth Godin first started talking about tribes and building your tribe and so forth, Leo worked harder probably than anybody else in implementing one strategy alone, and that was the strategy of guest posting on other people's websites. So he famously started guest posting every day on somebody else's site. Every day he wrote a guest post and published it on another person's website that directed traffic back to his website. And then people obviously were reading these, you know, thousands of other places that he was blogging on, liking what they were seeing, and then coming back to his website and then finding what was then not so difficult to find, the opt-in form, and they were opting in. Now he's at 1 million plus subscribers. He can really afford for it to be kind of challenging to find his email list. It's not impossible though, you'll know, because there's really not a lot on the page. There's here, and then you just go down and there's his email list. So I mentioned Leo because he is the perfect example of somebody who just did the hard work. They were very committed. He was very committed to one strategy that he knew if he really took seriously and he took it to the level that he thought he could really implement it effectively, then it would benefit him. And obviously this just continues to benefit him every day, because all of those articles that he's written on other people's sites still exist on other people's sites and continue to drive traffic back to him. So that's another thing that's most important to understand, is that you can have the best opt-in in the world, but if you don't have traffic coming to your site from elsewhere, then the opt-in will be useful for the small numbers that come, but it won't build you a big list because you simply won't have enough people who know who you are. Okay, so let's dive into a couple of different ways you might do opt-ins to give you some inspiration. Find your freedom. Get the Freelancers Toolkit. From last corporate day to a month of 5K, how to get steady income, 4 steps to your first or next passive income stream, and access to our private FB community. So really clear what you're getting. You're getting this toolkit. These lovely pictures imply certainly to me that this looks like it's going to be at least nicely done, probably beautiful. And then there's just a quick and easy click, and then I put in my name and email. There's certainly a philosophy around get people to take make micro steps. So the first step being just to click, and then the next step to give you the name and email. What I like about this is it's just clear what you're getting. It points to probably some of the pain points of this client base. So she's saying, okay, how to create a 5K month, how to get that steady income and build additional passive income. So they're really, you look at that and it's really clear to you that she's targeting people who are very interested in the money-making element of online business. Let's look at another example that's a little bit more, well, it's got more features to it. So first of all, they have this one down here. Join our free 30-day green smoothie challenge and weekly recipes. So you know you're getting weekly recipes. There's some sort of challenge. You might not know what that is yet. It's just a simple email, name and email. You could sign up there. But it's not the only opportunity they give you to sign in. You've heard about there's this 30-day challenge. So you come up here and you're like, what's this challenge? There's a video here that talks to you about the green smoothie challenge from the 2 people who own the business. 30 days to a healthier you. Get weekly emails with recipes, shopping lists, and tips to help you say yes to your health and becomes part of this green smoothie tribe. So again, much more compelling. It's like, oh, okay, so I'm going to get 30 days with emails, green smoothie emails and shopping lists. And so you're in there, and the challenge runs throughout the year. We challenge you to drink 1 green smoothie a day for 30 days. They tell you a little bit more about smoothies, And again, this is their more simple opt-in down here. They give you some testimonials about why it's so exciting to join the challenge, why it's so good. So this has been for them a very successful way to build their list. And I really like the combination of, there's just the straight up invitation at the front, and then the challenge is really embedded into their whole business model. And then if you come to their about page, our story, our mission, you see, again, they've got another, just a very simple opt-in form here. Let me show you something now that's a different kind of model. Again, not something that I recommend at all starting out. I think it's too complex, but is something that's worth keeping in mind about how you might do it more simply, perhaps. And she says here, this is Betty Means Business, and she says, tell me, are you charging what you're worth? So this is an opt-in, but she, rather than just saying join my list, she's trying to engage you in a conversation. So let me show you what happens. She said, are you charging what you're worth? Let me know, yes or no, to receive a special gift from me that's free. You might say, yes, I'm charging what I'm worth. And she says, fantastic. As a special thank you, I'd love to send you my Essential Done For You script pack to explain what you do, getting glowing testimonials and ask for referrals like a pro. So then she's giving you a little, you're already kind of in a conversation with her. And then she says, oh, and let me give you something for free. You're amazing. If you say no, she does something that's really interesting as well. She says, okay, well, let's continue the conversation. Is it because you're worried about increasing your prices? Is it because you're not sure how to best showcase your expertise? Is it because you're not marketing yourself as well as you know you could? So let's say you say, I'm not marketing myself as well. She comes straight back here to the opt-in and she says, well, I can help you with that. Here, let me give you the same script. So that's a new, more innovative way that people are now trying to engage people. And it goes back to what I was saying before about there are lots of people in the market now. And so it's important to try and think of something that will be delightful for your customers and your clients and your readers and students to engage with. Next one is Jonathan Fields doing something very similar. So Jonathan Fields, this is his personal site as opposed to this Good Life Project, which is his kind of other brand that he operates under. Jonathan does something similar to Betty, but this is a much more simple version of it. Again, trying to engage you in a conversation. I love discovering stories and ideas that inspire me. Totally agree. Great. You and me both. Add your email and I'll give you some stories. And if you say, no way, he goes, seriously? And that's the end of the conversation. So, you know, it's a quirky way to do it. Final way I'm going to show you is a way that I would only recommend if you have a big, somehow you've already established brand reputation. Because, and I'm saying that because it already offers a barrier to entry. I have seen people with not really strong brand reputation trying this, and it just doesn't work because the model is this. You have to sign up to see anything on our site. Now, that's fine if people already know what they're going to get on the other side of the site. But if they've no idea and they've never heard of you before, what's the incentive to giving you their email? Beautiful items for the home, beautifully priced. Well, okay, but there are lots and lots of shops that give me beautiful price items for the home that are beautifully priced. So then they give you a little bit more of incentive, exclusive sales events at member-only prices, and you might go, oh, okay, I'm a bit more interested now because there's some level of exclusivity, and that's why they're doing it. But for me personally, I didn't. When I first heard about this site, I went on, and when I saw that it was, I had to give my email to join to even find out more about it. I thought that's not for me. And so I left, and I left for a good 6 months. And then it wasn't really until I had heard from a friend who used them and liked them and read in 3 different magazines articles I think 1 newspaper and 2 magazine articles, how good the site was, that I then went back. So you see all that other PR stuff that they needed to do in order for me to be convinced to come back to them. So I don't personally think that that's the best way to go. I would have preferred to scroll their site initially and been really impressed with what they had to offer, and then I would have probably willingly handed over my email to hear from them again. But obviously they think it's working for them, and they want that sense of exclusivity. What I do like, and what they've added, which wasn't there before, was to take the tour. So if you are going to do something like this, you probably want to give people a bit more than just the opt-in. So the tour gives you a bit more of a sense of what's in the site. It shows you the quality of the furniture that they sell. So it starts to get you a little bit excited about what's possibly inside. It gives you overcomes some kind of fears that you might have about purchasing online. And it then says to you, you know, you've got a 30-day refund opportunity, and everything's hand-packed in Sydney. So again, it just overcomes some of those online sales fears you might have, and then invites you to join. So that's another sort of style. And I wanted to show you the different kind of the transition through opt-ins to give you a bit of a sense of the history of them, but also to get you to start just thinking about different ways, creative ways that you might start to apply this in your own business. Always coming back to, who am I here in service to? What would be a really enjoyable experience for them? What would be inspiring? What would be consistent with my brand? And going from there.